Wednesday at 7 p.m. W5FC.
Skynet will be starting on this frequency in about 5 minutes. If anyone needs to use their repeater, please go ahead before we start the net. This is N5BB.
I need to make myself very clear. If we leave now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Skynet. Does anybody need to use their repeater before we begin?
Let's go, Dr. Bravo. Bravo.
My name is Bill. I'll be your net control this evening for the Dallas Amateur Radio Club Skynet. This is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic can enter the net at any time by using the pro sign break and your call sign. As a directed net, please do not transmit without direction from your net control inside BB. And stations are reminded to identify at the end of each transmission. This weekly net operates on 146.88 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using a W5SC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. I will be monitoring Echolink once I start it up here. Oh, hang on here. Finding the Echolink app. There it is. Okay. Let me see. W5SC. Well, I am temporarily having a difficulty reaching W5SC on Echolink. I'll have to see if I can work on that later. So, tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio video links are available online. Go to www.w5fc.org. That's whiskey5friedchicken.org right now for the complete list. Remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You do not need to be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. The net is 90 minutes long, structured into several parts. So announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas, National Space Society events, discussion topic of the evening, selected by the net control station, space exploration and space history. Wise up, the topic for Constellation of the week, space launches of the week, recent astronomical discoveries, and if we have time, visual satellite passes over the next couple of days. These are flares from satellites, sunlight reflecting off of them. And astronomical question and answer if we have time, followed by the 73 round. All amateurs licensed to transmit this frequency are invited to check in. So, let's start with low power and short time check-ins. Please come now with your call sign, name, and location. This is N5BB, Skynet.
Short time in Addison.
Hold on, that was a perfect double. There's a station, Addison, please come first.
Kilo Alpha 5, Zulu Tango Papa, Kyle. Mobile in Addison, short time, no comments.
Very good, Kyle. I have you and Addison a short time. Who was the other station? Please come down.
November 5, India, Mike Sierra. I will be monitoring, but no traffic. This is JJ in Carrollton.
Very good. I got N5 IMS JJ in Carrollton. Are there any other short time stations?
This is Bravo, number 4, Mike, Foxtrot, India, WB4MFI, Ted, Dallas, low power.
Kilo Alpha 6, Echo Tango Sierra, short time, Mesquite, Texas, Phil. India, William, and Alan, short time.
Hey, hold on. The last station, would you please try again? Was that November 5 Whiskey Oscar, India?
That's correct, N5WI.
And your name and location again?
William and Alan, short time.
Very good, William. So far, I have KA5ZTP, Kyle, N5IMS, JJ, WB4MFI, Ed, KA6ETS, Phil, and N5WOI, William, all those short time. Do we have any other short time stations? Please come down.
November 5, Hotel Echo Bravo.
5HEB, your name and location, please.
Howard in Carrollton, N5HEB.
I'm sorry, I did remember, Howard. I apologize.
Before.
N5HEB, I have you. Do we have any other short time stations? Okay, that's all. By the way, I am logged into EchoLink, so people can make comments over there, and I will see them. This is Skynet with N5BB Net Control. Let's now go to General RF check-ins. General RF check-ins. Please come now with your name, your call sign, your name, and your location. Go ahead.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, Chaz, Mesquite.
Kilo 5, Kilo Tango X-Ray, Kelly in Quinlan.
Golf 5, Uniform Kilo Uniform, David, Mesquite.
Kilo 5, Alpha Lima Delta, Randy, Rowlett.
Echo 5, November, Eric, Plano.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James in Carrollton.
SS, Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brenda and DeSoto.
Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, Tom, Worcester.
Foxtrot 5, Tango, Sierra Kilo, Berlin, Dallas.
Okay, let's pause there, please. So far, I have the following stations. I have additional stations, I should say. KF5 JHH has a Mesquite, and I have him also on Echolink. K5 KTX, hello Kelly. KG5 UKU, hello David. K5 ALD is in Delta, Randy. Did I get that right?
Kilo 5 Golf Lima Delta. Randy Rowlett.
I'm sorry, Randy. I thought that looked correct. K5 GLD. And next station, I believe, was Kilo Echo 5 Echo November. Eric, is that correct?
That is correct. Eric in Plano.
Got you, Eric. I then have KG5 WVL, WB5 OZL, KF5 ICX, KE5 TSK. Do we have any other RF check-ins to Skynet? Please come now. This is in 5BB.
Oh, Foxtrot 5, Zulu, Bravo, Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch.
That's KF5 ZBL, Bill and Farmers Branch. There will be time later for additional check-ins. So nobody specifically asked me to check in on Echolink. Does anybody that's on Echolink like to check in on voice? If so, please come now. Echolink only. This is in 5BB. It's Skynet.
Kilo Golf 5 Bravo Zulu Whiskey J near Weatherford.
Whiskey Zero Mike Bravo Charlie. I'm Shane in Blue Springs, a suburb of Kansas City, home of the Super Bowl champions.
I recognize KG5 BZWJ. W0MBC. Shane. So happy about your big win. Very good. So, let me see. I'm going to also check in, because I see them there on the Echolink. K5, so I'm assuming they're listening. K5 JDW, John and Norman. N5YEO, Stephen, San Antonio. The N5AJD, that is Aaron. G5QXI, who is Glenn. All the additional stations I didn't have before. Yes, N5AJD is Aaron in Dallas. See here. So, do we have any other stations that would like to check into Skynet via any means? Please come now. This is N5BB Net Control.
So, Foxtrot 5, Quebec, Delta, Quebec, Eric and Garland, mobile.
Charlie 5, Lima Echo India, mobile.
T5LEO, what was your name, please?
Lima Echo India, Marvin.
I'm sorry, Marvin. KE5LEI. I have you now. I'm used to think about low Earth orbiting satellites. Do we have any other stations who would like to check in?
Kilo, Foxtrot, 5, Quebec, Delta, Quebec, Eric and Garland, mobile.
I'm sorry, Eric. I wrote you down and forgot to acknowledge you. KD5QDQ, Eric. I've got you. I just forgot to tell you. Any other stations who would like to check in? Taz is just being rowdy, and he's infected. This is on the Echolink text. He's infected John up in Norman, who says there goes, spelled G-E-O-S, the sad jokes. So they're not sad jokes, they're satellite jokes. I guess those are the jokes that are orbiting around the major bodies. Okay, again, you won't be able to check in later, but let's move on now. Do we have general announcements? Any general announcements about amateur radio things, astronomical, space, or general interest to licensed hams? Any general announcements? If so, please come now. This is N5BB Skynet. Well, you're not here, so we don't have that source. So I will fill in. Well, here's one general announcement that we always have. There is an AMSAT net. There's a couple of them. The DFW one meets on the Arlington repeater every Wednesday evening at 9 p.m. This is 147.140 megahertz, PL-tone 110.9. That's the amateur satellite net, AMSAT. There's also an AMSAT group on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Time on Echolink. Look for groups and asterisk, AMSAT asterisk. You could also find a live audio link on their website, www.amsatnet.com. The net originates in Houston. The other announcements, the Garland Skywarn training class is a week from today, Saturday, February the 15th, at the Granville Performing Arts Center in downtown Garland. It will start at 8:30 a.m. That's 8:30 a.m. a week from today. Skywarn training. Anybody can go. You don't even need to be a ham. The Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting on the air, next one, is going to be not tomorrow, but the following Sunday. Sunday, February 16th at 7 p.m. on this repeater. We then have the Irving Amateur Radio Club Ham Fest. This is going to be on Saturday, March the 7th. Exactly weeks from today in Irving. That's all for now. Do we have any other news items or items from the world of science? Please come down. This is N5BB Skynet. Just a reminder of Dallas Amateur Radio Club nets on this repeater. The first Monday of every month is Ham Fixings Net. The second Monday is Emergency Communication 101. Third Monday, Ham Fixings Net. The fourth Monday is Geek Net. If there is a fifth Monday, the price All these nets start at 7 p.m. On this reading. And of course, on Saturdays we have TechNet at 7 p.m. and Skynet at 9 p.m. The National Traffic System Training Net every night at 6:30 p.m. Central Time on this repeater, and at 10:30 p.m. on the 146.72 repeater in Irving. The next Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting is going to be the first Tuesday of the month, which will be March the 3rd, which is Super Tuesday. A good time for our super meeting. One last try. Any other news items before we move ahead? This is N5BB and Skynet. After the commencement of this net, roughly 10:30 this evening, maybe slightly later, we will have another net called the Afterglow net. We talk about a movie, usually, but not always, science fiction. It may be a bad movie, or it could be a good movie. Tom, would you like to read tonight's description? Inside BB.
Well, thank you, Bill, and this is KE5ICX, and here it is, tonight's movie. The producer listened to the latest pitch and stared at the ceiling. In front of him, a bunch of Hindi dancers, sitar quartet, an ocean of finger chime performers, and an overly enthusiastic director giving details about his conversion of the French Connection into a Bollywood musical. Popeye Doyle would ride in on a herd of rampaging elephants, jump off, and spin punch the evil Nicole. The producer thought, didn't we do this last month? He looked out the window and saw a ship in the harbor and had a vision. What if we imagined the voyage of Sinbad? He could ride in on a herd of elephants, jump off, and spin punch the evil skeleton sentry. Now that would be something completely different. Join us for the next Afterglow movie, The Adventures of Sinbad from 2013. I don't know why or how, but it's on the interwebs. Tonight at 10:30 p.m. That's it from me. KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom, but that's what we'll allow you to talk about right now. No more Bollywood movies. This is N5BB and Skynet. Do we have any additional check-ins? If so, please come down. Next, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events. Chaz, can you enlighten us?
Why, thank you, Bill, because I am so bright, I guess I can enlighten everyone. Okay, that was a funny joke, wasn't it? Okay, the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas has meetings on the fourth Friday of each month, and it's held at the University of Dallas, right on Campbell Road, at 7:30. But usually at 7 o'clock, there's either a overview of the dark side or a new members overview. So come at 7 o'clock, stay till 7:30. The featured speaker this coming month in February, and that will be on February the 28th, will be Robert Reeves. I call him Mr. Moon. And Burl, you were on Echolink asking about the moon, something about it being full or something tonight. But Mr. Moon, Robert Reeves, will be there. He is an excellent astrophotographer of the moon, and he'll be sending pictures of all sorts of different features you'll see on the moon. So I hope you come and join us for this coming month's topic. Now, after the topic that's presented at the meeting, then there's a short business meeting, and then at the very end is Constellation of the Month. A friend of mine, Dennis Harwell, and myself present that every month, the Constellation of the Month. So that's what's going on at the Texas Astronomical Society meetings. Now, every Saturday night, somewhere in the Metroplex, are observing sessions where you can actually look through a telescope. but maybe not tonight because it was kind of cloudy. On the first Saturday of each month is the Star Party getting party, the Stargazer Star Party. The next one will be on March the 7th. And tonight is at Frisco Starfest at Frisco Commons Park in Frisco. So that's happening tonight, or probably didn't happen because of the cloud cover. Cedar Hill Starbolt is at J.W. Williams Park in Cedar Hill. That's going to be next Saturday. And the week after that is Stars on the Rock at the Shores Park and Rockwall. And that'll be on February the 22nd. That's actually a Saturday I won't be on Skynet because I'll be observing with our students at Brookhaven College. If you have any questions or want any more details about what's going on with the Texas Astronomical Society, you can search their website, texasastro.org, for much more detail. Now, does anyone out there have any questions or need a fill on what I've talked about? Come now with your call sign if you have a question. I guess not. And thank you, Tom, for putting that information up on the video segment. See, I'm monitoring you. And I'm also watching Star Trek at the same time. All right, back to you, Bill. This is KF5JHA.
Bright. He has a high albedo. I say that because I know he does, even though he's spectacular, he does not make a specular reflection. He is diffuse, so he has a high albedo. See, you can learn things about light reflecting off objects by listening to Skynet. We throw in little pieces of knowledge all over the time. Okay, all over the place. Next. Do we have any last-minute check-ins? N5BB Skynet, go ahead.
Kilo Golf 5, Zulu Mike Golf, Joe in Arlington.
National Space Society. The chapter has meetings every month except for December in Irving on the second Sunday of every month except December starting at 3:30 p.m. in Irving at the Spring Creek Barbecue. This is on the south belt line at Highway 183, right across the street from Irving Mall. Visitors are welcome to meetings, and you're, of course, welcome to join. I knew what the meeting... Oh, here we go. Hold on. I will tell you what the meeting topic will be. I remember. This is a cool one. There's a guest. His name is Larry Richardson. He is going to discuss packing parachutes for NASA spacecraft. So evidently he was involved with parachutes used on NASA spacecraft in packing them. So that should be an extremely interesting topic for people who are into NASA things and parachutes. Again, that's tomorrow afternoon, 3:30 p.m. at Spring Creek Barbecue in Irving. Other National Space Society news. Last Saturday, a week ago today, National Space Society had an outing at Montessori School. This school is in Dallas, about a mile maybe south of White Rock Lake, along Highway 78. The school is named for Roberto Mata, who is the very popular Mexican conductor of the Dallas Symphony, when over 20 years ago he was killed in a small plane crash. popular guy. So the school is named after him. So we had an event there with all kinds of NASA things, as well as space AMSAT satellites. Tom Schessler and I, N5HYP, and myself got the kids to talk to a couple of satellites over amateur radio. That was cool. The only other National Space Society news item I have to say is that in late May 27th through 30th, the International Space Development Conference, ISDC, will be held in Frisco, right north of Dallas. This gets people to come from all over the world. There will be Phil Platt, the Bad Astronomy blog. He will be there. And a lot of stuff will be there. It's the place, Frisco. There are some things going May the 27th, Wednesday, but most of the conference is May the 28th, 29th, and 30th. It will be in the San Francisco. If you need more information, you can call me later and I can help you. N5BB@ARRL.net. National Space Society things I have. Do we have any other check-ins? This is it. Skynet. Somebody trying to check in there? Go ahead.
India 5 Hotel Yankee Romeo, Edward in Dallas.
KI5HYR. What was your name again?
Edward.
Very good, Edward. We have you, KI5HYR, checking in. Do we have any other check-ins to Skynet? Please come now. Station I don't recognize. Kilo Golf 5. Zulu Mexico Golf. ZMG. Zulu Mike Golf. Joe. I'm checking you in, Joe. I also see a call I do recognize. KG5JPN. Good evening, Mark in Dallas. One more chance. Any other check-ins to Skynet? Please come now. This is N5BB.
Echo 5, Uniform India X-Ray, Taylor in Dallas.
Whiskey Tango Alpha, Jonathan in Irving.
I got KE5UAX Taylor in Dallas and in 5WTA Jonathan and Irving. Hello to both of you. Anybody else? This is N5BB and Skynet. Unfortunately for you, because of an unfortunate ordering of events here, you're going to have to listen to me talking more. I apologize. It's just the way it worked out. I'm net control. I'm going to talk about discussion topic of the evening. And my topic is labeled Bizarre Cosmic Dance Offers Fresh Test for General Relativity. Woo. So, that was the name of a news kind of article in Scientific American. Scientific American, during the month between the issues, they issue little news articles going out to their people who are subscribers. So, this is concerning a paper that was released on January the 30th, and the paper is made up of people from Australia, Germany, New Zealand, Denmark, I think I got all and UK. I think it's most of the countries. And Germany, I mentioned Germany. So the name of the paper was Lense Thuring, that's hyphenated, LENSE-THIRRING, frame dragging induced by a fast rotating white dwarf and a binary pulsar system. My, that is a mouthful. So let's decompose that title. Lense Thuring are some people that back in, I believe, the early 60s, came up with a paper that used, based on Einstein's theory of relativity, which really says that space-time is controlled affected by gravity. This is geometric, things in the universe, the geometry of space-time. So after going through all the detailed equations and things, they postulated that a rotating object would slightly drag the space-time frame. So if you imagine space-time, if it was two-dimensional, people sometimes talk about imagining space-time as a rubber sheet. So if you roll a ball around it, normally it goes straight. But if there's a big heavy weight on this rubber sheet, you roll it, it gets deflected toward that big heavy thing. In three-dimensionals, similar. If light or matter is trying to go near a large, highly gravitational body like the sun, it deflects the light. With matter, it deflects it so much that it can go into an orbit around it. So that's just the effect of the static object there. But what if the object is spinning rapidly? Well, the spinning object, the spinning gravity of that object causes a little bit of frame dragging, and so space-time is additionally twisted a little bit around that object. And it's very, very, very difficult to measure on the Earth or in the solar system. Although there's been some efforts to do this in spacecraft around the Earth, but it's very difficult to do. It's much easier if you have some very heavy objects, some small, extremely massive heavy objects, which are rotating very fast. Guess what? Some oddball things exist. There's things like white dwarfs and neutron stars. So a white dwarf is when a star collapses to the point where the electrons get essentially pushed away from the nuclei. So you have the nuclei with protons and neutrons all together at the center with this sea of electrons around them. That's a white dwarf. If there's even more gravity, the next stage of compression is a neutron star, where there's nothing but a bunch of neutrons. There's not even protons. It's just a bunch of neutrons. And there's also typically incredibly intense magnetic fields. White dwarfs and neutron stars are rather small. A white dwarf might be the size of the Earth, even though it started off as a large star the size of our sun or larger. neutron star might be more the size of a large asteroid. It could be just a mile across, or a couple of miles apart. Those are very small. Incredibly massive, extremely high gravity, extremely high magnetic fields. When neutron stars rotate, they can create pulsars, which are an intense radio, could be more than radio, but especially radio signals, which are rotating. And because the pulsar rotates at an extremely precise rate, what you hear, if you could listen to it with a regular radio, would be a series of clicks. And quite often they're rotating fast enough that it may even sound like a buzz. So, in this case, there's a binary system called PSR J1141-6545. So this system is two objects, a massive white dwarf with a companion of a neutron star, very close to each other. So to give you an idea, and they're both rotating very rapidly. Normally, white dwarfs might spin as fast as once per hour. So think about a sun. It takes a long time to rotate one time, to spin one time. You know, many, many, many weeks. It takes the Earth one day to rotate. A white dwarf spin typically is something no faster than about an hour to rotate. When in this case, the rotating object, the white dwarf, is rotating roughly 200, 400 seconds. So it's rotating very rapidly for such a big, massive, heavy object. So think about something maybe, could be the size of the Earth or something, but it's got the mass of the sun, or a little bit more than the sun, and it's rotating about every, 6 minutes or 5 minutes. This is really going fast. So, in orbit with that white dwarf, there's a neutron star, which is much smaller and has just a little bit more mass. In this case, this neutron star is a pulsar emitting these radio pulses, and it rotates 2.5 times per second. It's about 394 millisecond repetition rate. So it's like a really low frequency of it rotating. And the neutron star and the white dwarf are orbiting around each other about 4.7 hours. So these are both objects that are heavier than the Earth, the sun, our sun, a little bit heavier, maybe 1.3 or something times as heavy as our sun. But they're rotating around each other very rapidly, 4.7 hours, and each of them is rotating or spinning very rapidly. So, by the way, this is the fastest white dwarf spin ever discovered. Anyway, because of all these things, over years of observations, doing a lot of analysis on these radio pulses, the pulsar pulses, astronomers are able to figure out all kinds of things that are checking relativity. But once they've used all the normal things that they confirm in this, they still had some errors that they couldn't account for. Finally, one of these scientists realized this could have been due to frame dragging. Again, the frame dragging is very unusual because it's such a slight effect. It takes something very massive, you have to be very close to it, has to be rotating extremely fast, and then the frame is dragged slightly. It's a space-time being dragged a little bit around the object. So after going through a lot of analysis, they said, yes, we detect the frame dragging, and it perfectly fits in with Einstein's theory of general relativity. So, that is the end of my topic. Does anybody have any questions? This is N5BB and Skynet. Well, this was a big deal because it's yet another check of relativity, and it's one of these things that is very hard to predict, to test this plane dragging, and it was a late prediction. In other words, it wasn't really predicted until the 1960s. So it's a very interesting thing. So, do we have any late check-ins for Skynet? Go ahead now. This is in 5BB. Next, it's time for Kelly. Kelly, time for space exploration and space history. Go ahead, Kelly. This is in 5BB.
Thank you, Bill. This is K5KTX. NASA is sending a new laser robot to Mars. Like the lasers of science fiction, this one is used for studying mineralogy and chemistry from up to about 20 feet away. It might help scientists find signs of fossilized microbial life on the red planet, too. One of the 7 instruments aboard the Mars 2020 rover that launches this summer, SuperCam, was built by a team of hundreds and packs what would typically require several sizable equipment into something no bigger than a cereal box. It fires a pulsed laser beam out of the rover's mast or head to vaporize small portions of rock from a distance, providing information that will be essential to the mission's success. The laser beam will help researchers identify minerals that are beyond the reach of the rover's robotic arm or in areas too steep for the rover to go. It will also enable them to analyze a target before deciding whether to guide the rover there for further analysis. Of particular interest, minerals that formed in the presence of liquid water like clays, carbonates, and sulfates. Liquid water is essential to the existence of life as we know it, including microbes, which could have survived on Mars billions of years ago. Scientists can also use the information from SuperCam to help decide whether to capture rock cores for the rover's sample caching system. Mars 2020 will collect these core samples in metal tubes, eventually depositing them at a pre-location for a future mission to retrieve and bring them back to Earth. SuperCam is essentially a next-generation version of the Curiosity rover's ChemCam. Like its predecessor, SuperCam can use an infrared laser beam to heat the material it impacts to around 18,000 degrees Fahrenheit, a method called laser-induced breakdown spectroscopy, or LIBS, and vaporizes it. A special camera can then determine the chemical makeup of these rocks from the plasma that is created. The masked unit for Mars 2020 SuperCam. Just like ChemCam, SuperCam will use artificial intelligence to seek out rock targets, zapping during and after drives when humans are out of the loop. In addition, this upgraded AI lets SuperCam point very precisely at small rock features. Another new feature in SuperCam is a green laser that can determine the molecular composition of surface materials. This green beam excites the chemical bonds in a sample and produces a signal depending on which elements are bonded together, a technique called Raman spectroscopy. SuperCam also uses the green laser to cause some minerals and carbon-based chemicals to emit light, or fluoresce. Minerals and organic chemicals fluoresce at different rates. So SuperCam's light sensor features a shutter that moves as quickly as 100 nanoseconds at a time, so fast that very few photons of light will enter it. Altering the shutter speed, a technique called time-resolved luminescence spectroscopy, that's a mouthful, will enable scientists to better determine the compounds present. Moreover, SuperCam can use visible and infrared light reflected from the sun to study the mineral content of rocks and sediments. This technique calls the Raman spectroscopy. Each technique is sensitive to different types of minerals. And this is the one I'm looking forward to. SuperCam includes a microphone, so scientists can listen each time the laser hits a target. The sound created by the laser subtly changes depending on a rock's material properties. Sylvester Maurice of the Institute for Research in Astrophysics and Planetary Science in Toulouse, France, said, the microphone serves a practical purpose by telling us something about our rock targets from a distance. But we can also use it to directly record the sound of the Martian landscape or the rover's mast swiveling. The Mars 2020 rover marks the third time this particular microphone design will go to the red planet, Maurice said. In the late 1990s, the same design rode aboard the Mars Polar Lander, which crashed on the surface. In 2008, the Phoenix mission experienced electronics issues that prevented the microphone from being used. In the case of Mars 2020, SuperCam doesn't have the only microphone aboard the rover. An entry, descent, and landing microphone will capture all the sounds of the car-sized rover making its way to the surface. It will add audio to full-color video recorded by the rover's cameras, capturing a Mars landing like never before. And I think I mentioned this before, the Mars 2020 rover, which is due to get a name any day now, will be launching sometime in mid-July this year. All right, now, after setting a record for the longest single spaceflight in history by a woman, astronaut Christina Koch returned to Earth Thursday, along with Soyuz Commander Alexander Skorsvat of the Russian Space Agency Roscosmos and Luca Parmentano of European Space Agency. The trio departed the International Space Station at 11:50 p.m. Central Time and made a safe parachute-assisted landing at 3:12 a.m. Central Time in Kazakhstan. Cook's extended mission will provide researchers the opportunity to observe effects of long-duration spaceflight on a woman as the agency plans to return humans to the moon under the Artemis program and prepare human exploration of Mars. Cook launched March 14th of 2019 alongside NASA astronaut Nick Hague and Russian cosmonaut Alexei Ovechinin. Her first journey into space of 328 days is the second longest single spaceflight by a U.S. astronaut and also places her seventh on the list of cumulative time in space for American astronauts with one or more missions. Supporting NASA's goals for future human landings on the moon, Cook completed 5,248 orbits of the Earth and a journey of 139 million miles, roughly the equivalent of 291 trips to the moon and back. She conducted 6 spacewalks during 11 months on orbit, including the first 3 all-woman spacewalks, spending 42 hours and 15 minutes outside the station. She witnessed the arrival of a and the departure of another dozen. And now in space history this week, February the 3rd, back in 1995, Eileen Collins became the first woman to pilot the space shuttle with the launch of Space Shuttle Discovery on mission STS-63. On February the 4th, way back in 1906, Clyde Tombaugh was born. Dissatisfied with Bob telescopes, Tombaugh used spare farming machinery parts to build his own equipment. His observation-based sketches of Mars and Jupiter impressed the staff at Lowell Observatory so much that they offered him a job where he would make the discovery of a lifetime. On February 18th, 1930, after thousands of hours examining photographic plates of the night sky, the 24-year-old Tombaugh located the elusive Planet X, now known as, well, it says dwarf planet, but it's a planet to me, Pluto. Although he is best remembered for finding Pluto, he also cataloged thousands of asteroids, variable stars, and galaxies. He died January 17, 1997. Some of Tombaugh's ashes are aboard the New Horizons spacecraft, about to conclude on July 14, 2015. Also on February the 4th, in 1966, the Russian Luna 9 landed on the moon, a major feat in the history of the space race. And 1 year later, February the 4th, 1967, Lunar Orbiter 3 was launched to the moon. The Lunar Orbiter program, run by NASA's Langley Research Center, launched 5 probes to provide detailed photographs of the lunar surface in preparation for the Apollo lunar landing. All 5 Lunar Orbiter missions were successful. Lunar Orbiter took new pictures of the 12 potential landing sites identified in Lunar Orbiter 1 and Lunar Orbiter 2 photographs. As a result of this, 4 potential landing sites were cut from the list. Despite the burnout of the Film Advanced motor on March 4, 1967, over 600 medium and high-resolution images of the moon were sent to Earth. On February the 5th, back in 1971, the Apollo 14 lunar module Antares touched down on the moon. The crew, led by the first American in space, Alan Shepard, included Ed Mitchell as lunar module pilot and Stuart Root, command module pilot. They were tasked with exploring the Proud this mission originally assigned to Apollo 13. Over the course of walks lasting approximately 4 hours each, Shepard and Mitchell collected 94 pounds of rocks and soil to return to Earth. It was also on this mission, at the end of the second moonwalk, that Alan Shepard would enter into space legend as the first person to hit a golf ball in space. After attaching a 6-iron head to the handle of a lunar sample collection device, Shepard fired off several shots before returning to the Antares. February the 6th, 1995, the shuttle Discovery approached the Russian space station Mir and completed a fly-around, thus marking the first shuttle rendezvous Mir as part of the Shuttle Mir program. The mission, STS-63, was the first of the year, and on board was Russian cosmonaut Vladimir Titov. He was the second cosmonaut to fly aboard the U.S. space shuttle as a part of the U.S.-Russian agreement on spaceflight cooperation. After the closest point of approach, Discovery Commander James Weatherby said, "As we are bringing our spaceships closer together, we are bringing our nations closer together. The next time we approach, we will shake your hand, and together we will lead our world into the next millennium." On February the 7th, 1984, astronaut Bruce McCandless performed the first non-tethered spacewalk. During Space Shuttle mission STS-41B, and Bruce used the Manned Maneuvering Unit, or MMU, a sort of jet propulsion backpack. Bruce was not only the first person to use MMU, but was intimately involved in the design and development with Ed Whitsitt from NASA and Bill Bolendonk from Martin Marietta Corporation. McCandless, Whitsitt, and Bolendonk were awarded the Collier Trophy in 1984 for the development of the MMU. Bruce passed away in late December 2017 and was buried at his alma mater, the U.S. Naval Academy, on January 16, 2018. Also on February the 7th, 1999, NASA's Stardust mission launched. The primary goal of the mission was to collect samples from the Comet 2 and return them to Earth. The team had expected the samples to contain materials from the formation of the early solar system, preserved in ice for billions of years. Indeed, researchers found what they expected, but with a surprise. Comet Wild 2 had formed under extremely hot conditions. It turns out that comets are not only made up of ice from the outer solar system, but also materials formed near the sun in an environment hot enough to evaporate bricks. And on February the 8th, 1974, Skylab 4 crew returned from the third and final mission to the first U.S. space station. Skylab 4 was launched on November 16, 1973, with command and service modules CSM-118. The 3-person crew, Gerald P. Carr, William R. Pogue, and Edward G. Gibson, spent 84 days on orbit. The mission included the observation of the comet Kohoutek, among numerous experiments. The crew completed 1,214 Earth orbits and 4 extravehicular activities totaling 22 hours and 13 minutes. CSM-118 was transferred from NASA to the Smithsonian in 1975. Also on February the 8th in 1992, the Ulysses probe arrived at Jupiter to perform a maneuver in order to establish an orbit non-coplanar with the Earth around the Sun. The Ulysses mission was designed to study the Sun and its poles a vantage point not often accessed for 5 years. Exceeding all expectations, the Ulysses collected invaluable data on the heliosphere for 20 years, allowing scientists to map previously inaccessible parts of the heliosphere. Though not its primary objective, the Jupiter flyby led to significant discoveries, especially about the magnetic field of the largest planet in our solar system. And finally, on this date in 2013, the Curiosity rover drilled into a portion of Martian bedrock, collecting the first sample ever obtained from the interior of another planet. This particular rock, named John Klein, in memory of a Mars Science Laboratory deputy project manager, produced evidence that conditions on Mars were favorable for microbial life. And that's all I've got this week. This is K5KTX. Back to you, Bill.
Good, thank you, Kelly. Any comments about Kelly's items or any late check-ins? Please come now. This is N5BB, Skynet.
This is November 5, Yankee Echo Oscar. Stephen in San Antonio.
YEO, this is N5BB and Skynet. I checked you in much earlier. Do you have any comments or questions?
Oh, it just feels good to get out of the hospital and back at home.
Hi, Stephen. I'm very glad that you're out and back home. I hope you're doing well. Okay, let's move ahead with What's Up, Chaz. Go ahead, Chaz. This is Skynet, N5BB Net Control.
Oh, it's great to hear, Stephen, that you're doing much better. Good evening. This is Chaz, KF5JHA. My degree is in astrophysics. I work at Brookhaven Community College. Weekly segment of Skynet Was Up. Now, I'm going to sort of skip this 3D thing on Skynet because we're running a little bit late. We're already 2 minutes after 10, so I'm skipping over that. Let's see. On December 21st, 2019, that's a couple months ago, the sun set at 5:23 Central Standard Time here in the Dallas area. Tonight, the sunset was at 6:04 p.m. Central Standard Time. By February 29th, at the end of this month, the sunset time will be at 6:23, an hour difference from back in December. This difference, of course, is an hour, and the sunset time will get later and later, almost by a minute a day from this point on for the next month. Interesting. Last Saturday, the moon was at first quarter phase, so the current phase of the moon is a waxing gibbous. The moon will be full. It looks full right now if you can see it through the clouds, but it'll be full just a few hours from now, just an hour and a half after midnight. The moon will be at its third quarter phase next Saturday on February 15th. Now that reminds me, Burl, pay attention. You asked for this. This reminds me, did you hear that NASA has built a telescope strong enough to see bugs on the moon? You know, lunatics. Listen, Mercury can be found in the evening sky tonight. Mercury will be very low in the western sky, or was, I should say. It will be for the next week or so easily found if you have a clear horizon. Just after twilight, Venus is the brightest thing in the sky, other than the sun and the moon, so it's very easy to spot in the southwestern sky, and you should have been able to see it through some of the breaks in the clouds this evening. If you get up around 6:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, you'll get a treat seeing 3 other visible planets. Mars is in the 13th constellation of the zodiac, the snake handler. Below and to the left of Mars, you can find Jupiter, and below to the left of Jupiter, you can find Saturn. Both Saturn and Jupiter are located in the constellation of Sagittarius. So cloudy over the last couple of weeks, I want to remind you to look for Canopus, the second brightest star in the sky. Canopus is not easily found for us in North Texas because it never gets more than 4.5 degrees high in the sky. And that is happening right now. Actually, about half an hour ago, it was directly south. If you'd looked very low in the southern sky, you could have seen it. The constellation of Canary, this is the constellation of a ship. It has a very interesting object in there that could go supernova, maybe even before Betelgeuse does. And this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Moon will occult the planet Mars early on the morning of February the 18th. You can watch this event with just your 2 eyes, but again, a pair of binoculars or telescope may get it easier. Around 5:45 and 29 seconds a.m. Central Standard Time, Mars will disappear behind the moon. At 7:11, Kelly will appreciate this. At 7:11, all right, and 38 seconds, Mars will reappear from behind the moon. Now, the reappearance will be right at sunrise, so a telescope will probably be required to see the reappearance of Mars. The times of disappearance and reappearance are calculated for Brookhaven College. Times will vary by several minutes in other parts of the Metroplex. February 19th, just a day later, the moon will be close to Jupiter in the morning sky, and on February 20th, the moon will be close to Saturn in the early morning sky. Don't forget that the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas has telescopes set up somewhere in the Metroplex once every Saturday night. Check their website, texasastro.org, for details. Now, do any of you out there in Radio Land have any questions or need a fill on any of the information? Or do you have just a general question on astronomy? I don't know everything, but I may know the answer to your question. Come now with your call sign if you have a question. Right, so as the moon wanes during the last half of February, so do these words. Until next time, keep looking up, look up. This is Chaz, KF5JHA. Back to our net control, Bill, N5BB.
Good, Chaz. This is N5BB. Does anyone have any comments or questions about Chaz's items there? If so, please come now. Heard, Chaz, you're up again for Miss Carolyn's constellation of the month, or constellation of the week. Anyway, go ahead, Chaz. N5BB, net control.
Does this mean I'm beside myself? Okay, this segment of Skynet is named Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. It's in honor of Silent Key KC50ZT. She contributed weekly to Skynet, presenting a different constellation each week. Since there are about 52 constellations visible here in North Texas out of the 88, she covered a different constellation each week, which allowed all the visible constellations over a period of a year in North Texas to be given details about. But she also contributed daily to the early and late traffic nets on this repeater, as well as the Irving repeater, and she did so much more. This segment is dedicated to her. More than 25 years or so, the monthly Texas Astronomical Society meetings, my friend Dennis and I have presented a constellation of the month. So I've gotten very familiar with lots of objects in the sky, either visually or by description. Now, I need to give you a little bit of background about something before I do the rest of the constellation of the month. The Astronomical League is a worldwide organization that other astronomy clubs join. It's sort of like ARRL, so the Amateur Radio World, is where it's a little bit though. Instead of different radio contests, the Astronomical League has over 60 different observing clubs. Most of the observing clubs have about 100 objects as part of the observing club. So if you observe 10 objects a month, you should be able to earn, in a year, one of the club observing certificates and pins as an award for completion of that program. With that background done, the constellation of the week is Monoceros, the unicorn. Now, with the name Monoceros, I would think it should be a rhinoceros or hippopotamus, but it's a unicorn. It straddles the celestial equator and the winter Milky Way, surrounded by nearby constellations of Orion, Canis Major, Canis Minor, and other constellations. It's one of the more modern constellations named by the Dutch astronomer Petrus Plancius, I think is how you pronounce his name, in the year 1613. Older records and charts say that there was a unicorn in that part of the sky, but Plinius gave the constellation its modern name and helped to formalize its existence. Now, that reminds me, what's the difference between a carrot and a unicorn? A carrot and a unicorn? First is a bunny feast, the other is a funny beast. From Monoceros, or Monoceros, is the only star that has a formal name, a proper name, Samus. It's a magnitude about magnitude 4. It's not surprising that it's the only one with a proper name because all the stars of Monoceros are really dense. In an 8-inch telescope at magnitude 41, Alpha Monoceros as a single yellow star is what it appears to be. It's surrounded by a field of painter stars. It appears as a single star because it is. Beta Monoceros is in the Astronomical League Double Star Club and the Astronomical League Urban Club. Beta is a very nice triple star system shining at magnitude 4.6. It has been confirmed to be a true trinary system. It was discovered by William Herschel in 1781. According to Burnham's Celestial Handbook, the system is believed to be about 150 to 200 light years away. And the separation between the A would be the brightest of the pair, B would be the second brightest. The separation between A-B pair of stars is estimated about 400 astronomical units. And of course, an astronomical unit is the distance between the Earth and the Sun. In an 8-inch telescope, Beta has no color. All three stars appear white. The star's multiple nature is noticeable at 41 magnification, and at 84 magnification, all three stars are seen appearing as a single bright star with two slightly fainter stars close together. At 126 magnification, close pair is cleanly split, so you can see all three stars easily. Once again, this reminds me, how do unicorns get to the park? How do unicorns get to the park? On a unicycle. I use these jokes at the Astronomy Club meeting when we do these constellations of the month. Gamma Monoceros is magnitude 3.98, which is also about fourth magnitude. It's a faint magnitude 13.1 companion, which is very faint. It's separated by 50.7 arc seconds. The primary star is an orange giant with a diameter about 35 times that of our Sun. is about 500 light years away. Delta Monoceros is magnitude 4.15. It's a double star. Like Gamma, it also has a faint companion shining at 13th magnitude. These are kind of hard to see, even with large telescopes. They're separated by 33 arc seconds. The primary star is a white star with a diameter of about 7 times that of our sun. It's about 380 light years away. Okay, what state do unicorns like the most? Maine. Zeta is at magnitude 4.34, and it's yet another double star with a magnitude of 10.2 companion, separated by 33 arc seconds from its primary. Zeta is a yellow-orange supergiant star with a diameter 53 times that of our sun. It's about 1,100 light years away. Now, let's get into some other things other than stars. There's an M object, Messier 50, in Monoceros. It's very nice. It's from the Astronomical League Messier Club. It's also in the Astronomical League Binocular Messier Club. This open cluster is believed to have been the first discovered sometime before the year 1711 by Cassini, the father of the Cassini, who wrote about his father's discovery. It was Cassini, the younger, was the one about the Cassini rings, the gap in the rings around Saturn. Messier looked for the open cluster in 1771, but he could not find it, and speculated that the elder Cassini may have seen a comet. However, the very next year, 1772, Messier found the open cluster, and it became number 50 in his famous list of deep sky objects. Remember, there are 110 objects we've attributed in the sky to Charles Messier. This cluster is easily found with binoculars or even a finder scope on your telescope. In an 8-inch telescope with 41 magnification, you can take in the entire star cluster at once. There are 2 generally curving lines of stars that define one edge of the cluster and a fairly bright triangle of stars on the other side. There are many fainter stars throughout. Burnham's Celestial Handbook mentions a red star 7 arc minutes from the center of the cluster. It's written out by Barnes, T.W. Webb, and John Herschel. But the eagle-eyed Stephen James O'Meara has not recorded seeing it. In his book, The Messier Objects, O'Meara mentioned sighting of the red star by astronomers in the past, such as Admiral Smith. Let's see now. I'm going to skip down to this. Let's see now. O'Meara further writes, astronomer Brent Arkinall, who is a former graduate of the Ohio State University and a former college roommate of mine and a friend of mine, speculates that the reported variations in the star's color are due to variations in the observer's eyes, particularly at low light levels. Let's go on to the Rosette Nebula. That's MGC 2237, 2238, 2246. Why does it have all these numbers? Because it was discovered in pieces and parts, starting in 1864. Its full extent was not known until the early 1890s, when Edward Emerson Barnard photographed it at Lake Observatory. So that's why it has several different NGCs, NGC's New General Catalog. Look on the video component of Skynet, you can see a nice photograph of the Rosette Nebula. Using different filters, you can see different parts of it pretty easily. It's hard to see all of it unless you have a large telescope, and then you'll have to scan through the area to find it because it's large in the area. But it's not too far away from Orion. Monoceros is right next door to Orion. So I would encourage you trying to find the Rosette Nebula if you have a larger telescope, 8 inches or larger. Looking at the time, I'm only going to do one more object, and that is the star cluster in the center of the Rosette Nebula. It's called NGC 2244. It's an open star cluster, and unlike the Rosette itself, the cluster is an easy object to see because it's in the center, and it's a bunch of stars. This cluster is easy to see with even a finder scope or binoculars. It's visible to the unaided eye in very dark skies. So let me see. This reminds me, what do you get when you mix a unicorn and a cow? Corned beef, of course. So I'm going to skip the last object there, Tom. I'm going down to the final slide of this. There are 36 other objects that are part of the Astronomical League Observing Club that are in Monoceros. So with this one constellation, it could be the start of your major start to your Observing Club program. Do any of you have any questions about the constellation Monoceros? If you have a question. Okay, one more for the road. What does the unicorn say when it fell? What does the unicorn say when it fell? I told him, I can't get me up. Okay, Bill, get me out of this. This is Cat 5JJ, back to N5BB.
Thank you, Chaz. Because we're running so late, I'm going to make a change in the order here, if you don't mind. Brenda, if you're still around, can you talk about the recent astronomical discoveries? If you would do that now, then I'll switch it over to Tom to end the net. Go ahead, Brenda.
Sure can. This is WB50ZL. The title of this article is One Small Grain of Moon Dust, One Giant Leap from Studies. Back in 1972, NASA sent their last team of astronauts to the moon in the Apollo 17 mission. These astronauts brought some of the moon back to Earth so scientists could continue to study lunar soil in their labs. Since we haven't returned to the moon in almost 50 years, every lunar sample is precious. We need to make them count for researchers now and in the future. In a new study in meteoric and planetary science, scientists found a new way to analyze the chemistry of the moon soil using a single grain of dust. Their technique can help us learn more about on the surface of the moon and formation of precious resources like water and helium there. We're analyzing rocks from space, atom by atom, says Jenica Greer, the paper's first author and a PhD student at the Field Museum at the University of Chicago. It's the first time a lunar sample has been studied like this. We're using a technique many geologists haven't even heard of. We can apply this technique to samples no one has studied. Philip Heck, the curator at the Field Museum, associate professor at the University of Chicago, and co-author of the paper, adds, you're almost guaranteed to find something new or unexpected. This technique has highly sensitive, such high sensitivity and resolution, you will find things you wouldn't find otherwise and only use up a small bit of the sample. The technique is called atom probe tomography, APT, and is normally used by materials scientists working to improve industrial processes like making steel and nanowires. But its ability to analyze tiny amounts of materials makes it a good candidate for studying lunar samples. The Apollo 17 sample contains 111 kilograms, 245 pounds of lunar rocks and soil. The grand scheme of things, not a whole lot. Researchers have to use it wisely. Greer's analysis only required one single grain of soil, about as wide as a human hair. In that tiny grain, she identified products of space weathering, pure iron, water, and helium that formed through the interaction of the lunar soil with the space environment. Extracting these precious resources from the lunar soil could help future astronauts sustain their activities on the moon. atoms to carve a tiny, super sharp tip into its surface. It's only a few hundred atoms wide. For comparison, a sheet of paper is hundreds of thousands of atoms thick. We can use the expression nanocarpentry, says Philip Heck. Like the carpenter shapes wood, we do it at the nanoscale to minerals. Once the sample was inside the atom probe at Northwestern University, Greer zapped it with a laser to knock atoms off one by one. As the atoms flew off the sample, they struck the detector plate. Heavier elements like iron take longer to reach the detector than lighter elements like hydrogen. By measuring the time between the laser firing and the atom striking the detector, it's able to determine the type of atom at that position and its charge. Finally, Greer reconstructed the data in 3 dimensions using a color-coded point for each atom and molecule to make an atom-scale 3D map of the moon dust. It's the first time scientists can see both the type of atoms and their exact location and a speck of lunar soil. While APT is a well-known technique in material science, nobody has ever tried using it for lunar samples before. Greer and Heck encourage other cosmochemists to try it out. It's great for comprehensively characterizing small volumes of precious samples, Greer says. We have exciting missions like Hayabusa 2 and OSIRIS-REx returning to Earth soon. Uncrewed spacecraft collecting tiny pieces of asteroids. This is a technique that should definitely be applied to what they bring back because it uses so little material but provides so much information. That's only about half the article. I'll probably should quit there. We're almost out of time. This has been ScienceDaily.com. Back to net, WV50ZL.
Very good, Brenda. Thank you very much. Do we have any last check-ins to the net? This is Skynet in 5BB Net Control. Okay, then. For the last section here, Tom, KE5ICX, at your discretion, why don't you give us any recent or upcoming launches, space launches, or visible satellites? Go ahead, Tom. This is N5BB, Skynet.
All right, very good, Bill. Yeah, I'll do exactly that. I'm going to settle on the space launches for this week, just a few of them. As if you've ever noticed, boy, oh boy, there's a lot of stuff going up into space, thanks to several active space centers throughout the world. February 8th, 9th, that would be tonight. There's a launch for the IGS Optical 7. This is out of Japan at the Takashimiya Space Center. A Japanese H-2A rocket will launch an information-gathering satellite with optical reconnaissance payload for the Japanese government. On February 9th, that's tomorrow, Antares, it's NG-13, will launch at 5:39 Eastern Time out of the Wallops Island, Virginia, Pad 0A. A Northrop Grumman Antares rocket will launch the 14th Cygnus cargo freighter on the 13th operational cargo delivery flight to the International Space Station. The mission is also known as NG-13 and will fly the Antares 230 configuration with 2 RD-181 first stage engines and the Castor 30XL seconds. That's pretty hefty stuff, by the way. February 9th, 10th, Atlas V solar orbiter. Launch time is at 11:03 p.m. Eastern Standard to 1:03 from SLC 41 Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. That's the pad that flanks Kennedy Space Center. A United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket designated AV-087 will launch the solar orbiter spacecraft for NASA and the European Space Agency, built by Airbus Defense and Space. Solar orbiter and Solar O will travel inside the orbit of Mercury to study how the sun creates and controls the heliosphere, the vast bubble of charged particles blown by the solar wind into the interstellar medium. The rocket will fly in the 411 vehicle configuration with a 4-meter fairing one solid rocket booster, and a single engine Centaur upper stage. Again, this one's a little bit more beefy, including an assist solid rocket booster as part of NASA and the Air Force's multi-configuration program. That's all I'm going to do, Bill. Back to you, KE5ICX.
Thank you very much, Tom. Do we have any last-minute comments for Skynet before we close the net? This is N5BB Net Control. Tonight we had 30 stations check in. I want to thank everybody for their participation, and we'll see you next week. If you have any interest in the Dallas Amateur Radio Club nets, check out w5fc.org. That's whiskey5friedchicken.org. And you can also send an email to any of the net controls on the net, or you can call them. Let's shut it down now. This is N5BB closing Skynet. Tom, I'll turn it over to you for whatever we're going to do for Afterglow. I did not see the movie, so I'm not going to participate. N5BB clear.
All right, thank you, Bill. We'll be talking about the movie The Adventures of Sinbad from 2013. Yeah, I know, you probably didn't see it. If you did see it, you probably want to forget it. But it's okay. We'll open it up and talk about any of the seafaring movies involving Sinbad. So come back in about 5 minutes, and we'll go ahead and open the net at that time. It's the Afterglow movie net. We'll see you then. 5 minutes from now. This is KE5ICX.
KE5ICX N5BB. By the way, Tom, I'm sure you can hear too, that scratching is getting pretty bad right now. So I don't know if anything can be done about it, but long-term problem that comes and goes, and it's really come on badly recently. See you later. Good night, N5BB.
Does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin the 10:30 Afterglow net? This is Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Lee, and Audrey the Straw. I get to be net control for this night's movie. The name of it is Adventures of Sinbad. Don't be fooled. It sounds a lot better than it is. I mean, it has Sinbad, right? How bad could it be? Well, just wait. All right, as usual, call on Tom, KE5ICX, to give us a synopsis of this excellent, fine film.
Well, thank you, Brenda, and I looked everywhere high and low to find a synopsis of this film, and I could not find it. I could have written something last I watched it, but I was watching the debates, and I had the sound turned down. The fact that the movie did not have any subtitles is a troubling thought, because now all I can do is go with all the pictures and the things that people saw, what they look like, and all of that. So instead, what I'm going to do is read something about Sinbad itself. And why this is, so good. Here we go. The Tales of Sinbad are a relatively late addition to the 1001 Nights. They do not feature in the earliest 14th century manuscript, and they appear as an independent cycle in the 17th and 18th century collections. Traceable influences include the Homeric epics, long familiar with the Arab-speaking world, having been translated into a language as early as 8th century AD. By the court of whoever, from early 3rd and 4th century AD to the 9th century, Book of Animals of Al-Yahis, and even earlier in the ancient Egyptian tale of the shipwrecked sailor. Later sources include Ovid works such as The Wonders of the Created World, reflecting experiences of 13th century Arab mariners who braved the Indian Ocean. The Sinbad cycle is set in the reign of Abbasid Caliph Harun al-Rashid from 786 to 809. The Sinbad tales are included in the first European translations of Nights, Galates les Midi et Unos, Cortés Herbes d'Artuis in Francais. An English edition, which appeared in 1711, has the new Arabian Winter Nights Entertainments and went through numerous editions throughout the 18th century. The earliest separate publication of Sinbad Tales in English is found in the British libraries, is an adaptation of the Adventures of Huran Banal, taken from the Arabian Nights, being in the 3rd and 4th voyages of Sinbad the Sailor around 1770. An early U.S. edition, The 7 Voyages of Sinbad the Sailor, The Story of Aladdin, or The Wonderful Lamp, was published in Philadelphia in 1794. Numerous popular editions followed in the early 9th century, including a chapbook edition by Thomas Tegg. His best-known full translation was perhaps his Tale of 120 in Volume 6 of Sir Richard Burton's 1885 translation, The Book of 1001 Nights. So you may be familiar with at least the movie is called The 7 Voyages of Sinbad. Indeed, there were 7 voyages. I read quickly through these trying to find some sort of narrative. I'm not quite sure any of these voyages were recommended for a part of this film. So what can I tell you about the film itself? Well, it was made in India. It looks as though, I had the volume turned way down, that it was done mostly in English. There are no subtitles, so I'm not entirely sure. We get the skeleton thing going on with the Sentry and the great, what do you call him, the Sikh king, whatever, was busy telling Sinbad to go off on a voyage and seek out, I don't know, Golden Fleece sounds good to me. In any case, that's what happened. We got lots of interesting special effects that we were going to talk about. It was very colorful. Sinbad looked like he could play the part, and I don't know about everybody else. They all look like they were extras, but the director found on the street somewhere. Was it, so, I don't know, we'll start, because I really don't have a lot to say about this film, because I couldn't find anything on it on the interwebs. Back to you, Miss Brenda. This is KE5ICX.
So you couldn't find anything on the internet, and you watched it with the sound down and no subtitles, so you're just kind of inferring the action that happened. Am I right here?
That's an affirmative. QSL, KE5IS. I can't even remember my call anymore. KE5ICX.
Well, it was a sultan, and he had this daughter. Of course, she is a beautiful daughter. And Sinbad wants to marry her, but the sultan doesn't want to give his daughter to a commoner, so Sinbad has to prove himself. And this pretty much goes in line with virtually every Sinbad movie. There are monsters to be fought. There's some kind of an adventure, a voyage, our sidekicks. Everybody proves their bravery, and in the end, Sinbad is victorious. So it's just, it's like Mad Libs. You just fill in the blanks. So, we're going to take check-ins now. We'll take a short time for our first. Give us your call sign, name, and location, and whether or not you watched this fine film. Please come down. Either very bad over or it means that nobody's short time. Let's take regular check-ins. Please come down.
Hello, Echo 5, Echo November, Eric Plano, and I don't believe I've seen this particular version of Sinbad. I did see an earlier version from the late 60s, early 70s, so...
Golf 5, Whiskey Golf Hotel, Nick in Carrollton.
Oh, sure. Kilo Echo 5 India Charlie 30 Tom. Yeah, I saw it with the sound down. I'm in Louisville, and the sound is up now.
Okay, we got Kilo Echo 5 Echo November Eric, who did not see the movie. KG5 WGH. Nick, did you see the movie?
I did see the movie. Sorry about that. I was doing too many things at once and forgot to let you know. Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Golf Hotel, back to that.
Alright, and KE5 ICX Tom. And yes, you did see the movie. Okay, additional check-ins. Please come now. Do we have anybody on Upcalling?
KG5BG, a short time. I saw enough of it that I just was like, I didn't really want to see the rest of it. So I'm about to go sleep right now. So KG5 easy duty.
Okay, any other check-ins?
Uniform Sierra, Gus, mobile, interpreting.
W5GUS Gus, did you see this movie?
No, I did not.
All right, well, let's just go ahead and get started. And KE5 Echo November, Eric, you didn't see the movie, but do you have any comments about bad science fiction?
Always up for a good B sci-fi film, so maybe I'll have to watch it, and I'll leave the volume up when I do. KE5EN, back to net.
All right, you might pick a different one. This one's pretty boring. Oh, I didn't say that out loud, did I? WGH, Nick, what are your thoughts on the plot?
Well, at first, I'll say I've had pretty high hopes when it kicked in. I heard a little bit of narration from Patrick Stewart, and I thought, well, hey, this might turn out to be great, but then not so much. I remember, it's been a while, but I remember reading a lot of Sinbad stories and stuff when I was younger, and I always enjoyed those kind of things. But this seemed to have a lot of weird transition points in it. And I don't know if these were from some of the original stories or not, but it seemed to kind of jump around. It's kind of like it was paced together, like maybe 10 different people were each writing a page and then kind of stuck it together at the last minute. As far as the information online, I'll mention I did find that it was listed online as Sinbad the Fifth Voyage, but even when you look at it that way, you don't really find out much more information about it. So, I thought the plot was a little holy and a little lacking, so I don't know that I could say much more than that. KG5, WGH, back to that.
Okay, KE5, ICX, Tom, plot.
Well, I thought that the plot had a lot going for it. I think that the sailor himself had this image, and it grew incredible powers. That counts for a lot of things. You got to ask yourself now, why spinach? Why not something else? Certainly, spinach has a lot of minerals, has a lot of going for it. But how do you develop muscles and be able to beat up on, the other characters so quickly and do so in such an authoritative manner? And how long does that last? That's a question I've always wondered. Well, there's got to be an answer to that. I'm sure it's somewhere, someplace, somehow. But in this movie, maybe we can find that out later on. I don't know. Other parts of the movie, I thought, I saw people laughing. Again, I didn't actually hear the dialogue, making comments, and perhaps what you said makes perfect sense, that he's got to win the hand of the lady, and the father has to make it permissible. so fine. We have these adventures. We see the ship and all the crew on board and the things that happen to them. And, I'm vamping right now because I don't remember much about this movie. So that looked good, and that suddenly we meet the guy with the horns thing, and then he defeats that, and then the movie ends abruptly. So I don't know. Maybe the sequel will be better with Robin Williams. I don't know. Oh wait, not anymore. But years later, maybe. Okay, that's not much I can say, but I'll tell you about favorite movies later on. KE5I6.
All right, KG5BCWJ. Tell us what you thought about the plot. Well, he said it was short time. I guess he went ahead and went to bed. KG5GUS. Gus, do you have anything to add to this?
Hi, Brenda. Hi, everybody. No, I haven't seen the movie. I don't really have much to add. But in memoriam, I have to say this, and then I'll be quiet. I'm Spartacus. W5GUS.
That would have been a good addition to this. All right, it's my turn. Well, as far as Sinbad movies go, plot wasn't really much worse than any of them. It was just a formula. You got Sinbad, and he has to go on some kind of a quest, and he fights the monsters successfully. And there's a genie. He has to fight for his soul. There's a voyage. There's shipwreck. Just real standard stuff for Sinbad movies. So I wouldn't say that it didn't make sense. It was just such a simple-minded story that how could you go wrong? The main problem I have is that it's forgettable. None of the characters were particularly engaging, and they were totally forgettable. Everything was just forgettable. That's all I can say. Don't know who these people were. I think it was a Bollywood movie, which I normally like Bollywood okay, but there just wasn't anything special about it. That's the thing I would say. All right, any more seconds? Okay, let's take another round and talk about characterization. KE5EN, did you want to comment again?
Yeah, I'll make a comment. This is KE5EN, and I will say I'm looking here at the IMDb entry for this movie, and I'll say the main character does remind me of bald Jude Law. That's kind of interesting. And also, I'd also like to make a recommendation. If you're going to do another movie next week or in the next couple of weeks, I would love to talk about Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger from 1977, which was a really cool Sinbad movie, which I think starred Jane Seymour at one point, and some other interesting things. So, KE5EN back in that.
Oh, yeah, I saw that movie back in 1977. That was a good one. All right, KG5WGH. Nick, what did you think about the characters?
Well, I thought Sinbad, he didn't seem to really do a lot other than kind of blankly stare every time they'd come back to him. So whether he was watching the lady he was falling in love with or fighting a monster every time the camera came back, he just kind of was in shock there and just staring back at whoever it was, and it seemed to be the same expression and emotion every time. So I didn't get a lot from him. Probably maybe one of the better ones was I forget her name now, but she was kind of the handmaid lady off to the side. I thought if anybody, she did a pretty good job with her part in the role she was supposed to be playing and looking out for the princess's best interest. I think I was most entertained though by the genie's character and the way they put him together, because he's supposed to be some sort of magical being that has, a significant amount of power, but in the moment where he got really confused, he tried to figure it out with his abacus that he pulled out, and I don't know why, but that just struck me as pretty funny. The magician character, he did okay. He played his evil magician role well. And those are about the only ones that stuck out to me at all. There were other players and characters there, but they didn't do a whole lot. Kilo Golf 5 Whiskey Golf Hotel, back to Nat.
Alrighty, KE5ICX, you're up.
Let's see. I thought, everything about the film was just really fascinating. The characters were really engaging. I don't know what they were saying, but I'm sure it was something really important. I could see the facial expressions. They were very engaged in whatever the heck they were saying. That was very noticeable. There was action, there was happiness, there was sadness. They laughed, they cried. All of that was really interesting. I noticed, too, that the castle guards were standing around. They all wear whatever those vest things are, and they had swords. That looked really good, and they seemed very intense about their job. So I could see them.
I think our interface got timed out. How is my signal now? This is WV50ZL. Sorry about that. Apparently somebody was sitting on his mic and we could hear his TV. So if that's you, please don't do it again. Okay, do we have any more check-ins? All right, we're going to talk about special effects. KE5EN, Eric, do you have anything to say? All right, KG5WGH, Nick, how about you?
Well, overall, I thought the effects weren't quite too bad once they got into it, because what I've seen at the first part of the movie, I wasn't expecting a whole lot, but I've seen worse magic special effects and worse monsters and demons and such, so I thought that they kept the camera at a proper distance and the lighting was enough that they didn't show too much of their craft work, so all in all, I think of all of it, I was probably okay with the effects that they added. KG5 WGH Internet.
All right, KE5ICX, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't mind the special effects. That they were okay. That part I can comment on. Visually, the film looked okay. I mean, it was a low-budget film. It was a little over an hour, so I suspect this was for TV, maybe in India at some point, which is why we can't find any real substantive information on it. Let's see. Overall, look and feel was good. I thought the color was excellent. It looked really, really good visually. Overall, was lit well. That's the sort of thing. Special effects, it wasn't. We had some of we had the Skeletor show up and that, and he looked a little fake, but I don't know. Wasn't that bad. It wasn't that great, but it wasn't all that bad. I don't know. This was a real turkey. I'm sorry. It looked good. I try to check the films and see if they have something that's kind of cool about them. And it had kind of a cool feel to it until you start watching, and then you realize, nah, it wasn't so much. KE5ICX.
Okay, W5GUS, what do you think?
Well, thank you, Brenda. Special effects are nice. I didn't see this movie, but I do remember some of the scenes in Seven Voyages of Sinbad, the dancing skeletons. That was really something and scary at the time too. Special effects can really make, especially a science fiction movie, they're very important. That was a little veiled, maybe a little too veiled salute to Kirk Douglas there, the Spartacus comment I made. So back to Ned, W5GU.
Yeah, that's a great loss. I thought the special effects were okay for what it was. It's just a Sinbad movie, and Harryhausen did so many of these kind of movies. I don't believe he did this one. We can't find anything on it, so we don't know who worked on this movie. But I seriously doubt it was Harryhausen, or we would have probably heard about it. Okay, anybody else want to check in? weirdest net ever, I guess. Do we want to talk about anything else in the realm of sci-fi movies?
Oh my, well, I'm not going to try and keep it alive too long. This is KE5ICX. I'm looking for a better movie here. Oh, by the way, I do have to say something, and I did watch it last night, later after the end of the previous movie. I did see Mad Max Fury Road last night. I thought it was pretty darn good. KE5ICX.
All right. Anybody else have comments? Well, I don't see any reason to beat this dead horse. So, KE5IC, what did you tell us about next week?
All right, Miss Brenda, I'm sorry. My apologies. I think this is probably the worst movie we've ever actually tried to watch. I'm going to recommend, and you're going to have to find it on your own, but I'm going to recommend Back to the Future from 1985, I think it was. 1985. So I'll send the notes out and how you might be able to see it. I think it's available somewhere. Somebody's got a DVD of it. I've got it on tape somewhere. Back to the Future from 1985. KE5I6.
Oh boy, I saw it so many times I probably don't even have to watch it. It's one of my kids' favorite movies, and we watched it over and over and over, which means I probably have a DVD of it somewhere in his house. And one of our biggest thrills as my kids is going to the set where they actually filmed it. The town square. They thought that was the coolest thing in the world to be right there where it all happened. And I have to admit it was kind of thrilling for me too. Alright, I guess we're done. So we're going to close this net at 11:13. This is Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, clear.
Thank you, Brenda. Well, that was a turkey of all turkeys, a new low. If you are interested in, and you're listening, and you didn't want to participate this evening, and I don't blame you, but you might want to participate next week, go ahead and send an email to me, Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, KE5ICX at yahoo.com. Say you'd like to be added to the movie list, and I'll give you the movie name for the following week, which will be Back to the Future, and if it's available legally, I will send it to you, otherwise you're on your own. So a lot of the films have, if they're available, they have ads in them, which is fine, or it may be on Netflix or something like that. Those things you'll have to do through normal means. Or you can go to Facebook and go to Afterglow Movie. That's 2 words, Afterglow, and then the word movie, and say you want to sign up, and I'll send you the links and all the information there. That's it from me. We'll see you all next week. This is KE5ICX.